Remember when Pee-wee searched the Alamo basement for his stolen bicycle? The film made millions laugh, but its cast faced a much darker reality. Its star endured an arrest that nearly destroyed his career, while another cast member later died in a devastating tragedy. More than 40 years later, this is how the cast has changed and where the surviving stars are today. Paul Reubens. Paul Reubens, born on August 27, 1952 in New York, was 33 years old when he portrayed Pee-wee Herman, the eccentric, childlike entertainer whose playful personality and unforgettable voice in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Reubens transformed Pee-wee from a stage comedy creation into one of the most recognizable pop culture icons of the 1980s. Behind the cheerful image of Pee-wee Herman was a career suddenly damaged by one of Hollywood's most shocking scandals. In 1991, Reubens was arrested at an adult theater in Sarasota, Florida, on an indecent conduct charge. The news caused an immediate backlash because he had been widely associated with children's entertainment. The controversy led CBS to cancel reruns of Pee-wee's Playhouse, stores removed Pee-wee merchandise, and many companies distanced themselves from him. Reubens disappeared from the public eye for years, later describing that period as one of the most painful moments of his life. But that was not the final chapter. Reubens gradually rebuilt his career, bringing Pee-wee to Broadway and later returning in Netflix's Pee-wee's Big Holiday. Yet while appearing in projects such as What We Do in the Shadows and The Conners, he was privately undergoing treatment for acute myelogenous leukemia. For 6 years, Reubens kept the illness hidden, continuing to work whenever his health allowed and refusing to let the disease define his final years. Sadly, Paul Reubens died on July 30, 2023, in Los Angeles at the age of 70 after complications from acute myelogenous leukemia. His ashes were reportedly interred at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Los Angeles, and he left behind a lasting legacy such as Blow, 2001, Mystery Men, 1999, and Batman Returns, 1992, showing that his creativity extended far beyond Pee-wee Herman. Elizabeth Daily. Elizabeth Daily was born on September 11, 1961, in Los Angeles, California. At 24 years old, she played Dottie, Pee-wee Herman's loyal and supportive friend who works at the bicycle shop, in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Her performance provided a grounded contrast to Pee-wee's unpredictable personality while helping audiences connect with the unusual world surrounding him. Away from the screen, Daly's personal life faced several difficult moments that attracted unwanted public attention. She married producer Rick Salomon in 1995, and the couple had 2 daughters before their marriage ended in divorce in 2000. Years later, Salomon became involved in one of the most widely discussed celebrity scandals of the 2000s when a private tape involving Paris Hilton was released publicly. The controversy brought intense media scrutiny, affecting not only Salomon but also Daly and their children, who had to deal with the unwanted attention surrounding their family. Despite those personal challenges, Daly continued building a remarkable career, especially in animation, where she found greater freedom than in traditional acting roles. She became the voice of Tommy Pickles in Rugrats, Buttercup in the Powerpuff Girls, and Babe the Pig in Babe, Pig in the City. However, she also faced professional struggles, as her youthful appearance often caused Hollywood to limit her opportunities in live-action films, forcing her to redefine herself through voice work and music rather than conventional leading roles. As of 2026, Elizabeth Daily is 64 years old and lives in the United States, working in voice acting, music, and entertainment projects. She remains celebrated as one of the most recognizable voices in animation history, with a career spanning more than 5 decades. Cassandra Peterson. Cassandra Peterson, born on September 17, 1951, in Manhattan, Kansas, was 33 years old when she played Biker Mama, the tough female biker gang member who confronts Pee-wee Herman during his chaotic journey in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Although her role was brief, Peterson's rebellious style hinted at the bold personality that would later make her famous as Elvira. Behind that confident appearance was a childhood trauma that shaped much of her life. When she was only 18 months old, Peterson suffered severe burns from boiling water that covered around 35% of her body, leaving permanent scars. She later revealed that the accident caused years of insecurity and emotional pain, especially during her teenage years. Instead of hiding from those experiences, she used performance to rebuild her confidence and eventually created Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, the gothic horror host who became her lifelong identity. Her fame also brought complicated personal struggles. Peterson married her manager Mark Pearson in 1981, but their relationship ended in divorce in 2003 after more than 2 decades together. The biggest revelation came in her 2021 autobiography, when she publicly shared her 19-year relationship with Teresa Twy Wierson. Peterson explained that she had kept the relationship private for years because she feared losing fans and damaging the image of Elvira, a persona strongly connected with her male audience. Today, at 74 years old, Cassandra Peterson still appears at horror conventions, fan events, and entertainment projects while celebrating the legacy of Elvira. Despite childhood trauma and personal struggles, she remains one of the most recognizable figures in horror entertainment. Alice Nunn. Alice Nunn, born on October 10, 1927 in California, was 57 years old when she played Large Marge, the mysterious truck driver who gives Pee Wee Herman a terrifying ride. The role delivers one of the most unforgettable horror comedy scenes in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Despite appearing for only a short time, her eerie expression and shocking transformation made Large Marge one of the film's most memorable moments. That unforgettable scene arrived after decades of experience as a working actress. Alice Nunn built her career through numerous supporting roles in film and television, appearing in projects such as Who's Minding the Mint, MOM, and several television productions throughout the 1960s and 1970s. Her ability to portray unusual and eccentric characters made her a reliable performer, even though she rarely received major leading roles. Her performance as Large Marge eventually became the role that defined her legacy. The character's sudden transformation from a friendly truck driver into a terrifying ghost became one of the most discussed moments of the film and helped turn Pee Wee's Big Adventure into a cult classic. Decades later, fans continued to remember Nunn not for the size of the role, but for the unforgettable impact she created in only a few minutes on screen. Alice Nunn died on July 1, 1988, at her home in West Hollywood, California, at the age of 60 after suffering a sudden heart attack. Her passing came only 3 years after Pee Wee's Big Adventure introduced her to a much wider audience. Large Marge became her lasting legacy, with the scene continuing to be remembered as one of the most iconic moments in family comedy and horror parody. Mark Holton. Mark Holton was born on April 2, 1958, in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. At 27 years old, he played Francis Buxton, Pee Wee Herman's wealthy, spoiled, and arrogant rival, whose jealousy over Pee Wee's bicycle became one of the main sources of conflict in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. With his exaggerated attitude and unforgettable expressions, Holton turned Francis into one of the film's most memorable antagonists. However, the success of Francis Buxton also became a difficult burden for Holton's career. After the film's popularity, Hollywood frequently offered him similar roles as overweight, foolish, or arrogant young men, making it difficult for him to escape the image he had created. Although he continued working in projects such as Teen Wolf, 1985, A League of Their Own, 1992, and Leprechaun, he struggled to gain the same level of recognition beyond comedy and supporting roles. Trying to prove his range as an actor, Holton took a dramatic risk in 2003 by portraying serial killer John Wayne Gacy in the psychological horror film Gacy. The role required him to explore a disturbing and violent personality far removed from his earlier comedic performances. As Hollywood opportunities became fewer, Holton gradually stepped away from major studio productions and focused more on independent films and occasional television appearances. By 2026, Mark Holton is 68 years old and continues to live a quieter life away from the Hollywood spotlight. His portrayal of Frances Buxton remains one of the most recognizable performances from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, proving that even a supporting role could leave a lasting mark on popular culture. Jan Hooks. Jan Hooks was born on April 23, 1957, in Decatur, Georgia. At 28 years old, she played Tina, one of the eccentric women surrounding Pee Wee Herman's unusual world in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Her sharp comedic timing and expressive style reflected the talent that would later make her a major television comedian. Behind the laughter, Hooks struggled with intense pressure throughout her career. After joining Saturday Night Live in 1986, she quickly became one of the show's most admired performers through her impressions of politicians, celebrities, and public figures. However, performing live every week brought severe anxiety and stage fright. The constant pressure of preparing new sketches under tight deadlines affected her mental health, and she eventually left SNL in 1991 after 5 demanding seasons. Leaving the show did not erase those personal battles. Hooks continued working in television, earning praise for Designing Women and receiving an Emmy nomination for her guest appearance on Third Rock from the Sun. Her career became a balance between professional success and the emotional challenges that came with performing. Sadly, her final years were marked by a serious health struggle. She was diagnosed with throat cancer, a devastating illness for a performer whose voice had been one of her greatest strengths. She died on October 9, 2014, in New York City at the age of 57 due to complications from the disease. Her ashes were reportedly scattered in Georgia, and she was remembered as one of the most gifted comedy performers of her generation, leaving behind a lasting influence on Saturday Night Live and American television comedy. Diane Louise Salinger. Diane Louise Salinger, born on January 25, 1951, in the United States, was 34 years old. She played Simone, the kind-hearted waitress at the biker bar who dreams of leaving her ordinary life behind and traveling to Paris in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Her gentle performance gave the film one of its most human and emotional moments, as Simone represented the desire to escape limitations and pursue a better life. Behind the scenes, Salinger's journey through Hollywood was far quieter and more challenging than many expected. Despite having strong theatrical training and a distinctive screen presence, she often struggled to secure major roles in mainstream films. Instead of becoming a leading actress, she was frequently cast as unusual, eccentric, or supporting characters, which allowed her to develop a unique identity but limited her opportunities for major commercial success. Her career later became closely connected with filmmakers who valued her unusual style and versatility. Tim Burton cast her as the mother of Oswald Cobblepot, also known as Penguin, in Batman Returns, 1992, while she gained further recognition as Apollonia in HBO's Carnival. These roles reflected her ability to portray complex and mysterious women, even though she remained outside the Hollywood star system. As of 2026, at 75 years old, Diane Louise Salinger still works in acting, theater, and creative projects in Hollywood. After all, she built a respected career defined by distinctive performances and a commitment to unusual character-driven roles, rather than fame. Professor Toru Tanaka. Professor Toru Tanaka, born Charles Kalani Jr. on January 6, 1930, in Honolulu, Hawaii, was 55 years old when he played Butler, the silent and intimidating servant of the wealthy Buxton family in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. His imposing size and serious expression made the role instantly recognizable, adding a sense of mystery to the world surrounding Pee-wee's rival, Frances Buxton. Tanaka's path to Hollywood began with an entirely different career as a professional wrestler. Competing under the name Professor Toru Tanaka, he became a recognizable star in wrestling organizations such as WWE and NWA during the 1960s and 1970s. His powerful physique and martial arts background later helped him transition naturally into action films, where filmmakers often sought him for physically demanding roles. After entering the film industry, Tanaka developed a successful second career as a memorable villain and supporting actor. He appeared alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger as the deadly assassin Sub-Zero in The Running Man, 1987, worked in Ridley Scott's Black Rain, 1989, and appeared in films including Three Ninjas and The Perfect Weapon. His combination of wrestling fame and screen presence allowed him to become one of the most recognizable Asian American performers in action entertainment during that era. The physical demands of wrestling and decades of intense training eventually affected his health. Professor Toru Tanaka died on August 22, 2000, in Orange County, California, at the age of 70 due to heart failure. He was remembered not only as a recognizable Hollywood villain, but also as a pioneering Asian American performer, leaving behind a career that influenced later generations of action performers. Ed Herlihy. Ed Herlihy was born on August 14, 1909 in Boston, Massachusetts. At 76 years old, he played Mr. Buxton, the wealthy father of Francis Buxton, who represents the strict and traditional side of the Buxton family in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Although his appearance was brief, Herlihy's calm expression and authoritative voice perfectly captured the image of a powerful businessman. By the time he stepped into that role, Herlihy was already carrying a voice that had accompanied American audiences for decades. He became known nationwide through radio, first gaining attention with NBC's The Horn and Hard Art Children's Hour before becoming the announcer for Universal Newsreels during World War II. His narration brought wartime reports into millions of homes and made him one of the most recognizable voices in American broadcasting. That reputation continued to grow when he became the longtime voice of Kraft Foods, appearing in countless commercials and earning the nickname the Voice of Kraft. Even in his later years, Herlihy continued exploring acting, appearing in Martin Scorsese's The King of Comedy, 1982, Woody Allen's Zelig, 1983, and finally joining the unusual world of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Ed Herlihy died on January 30, 2002, at the age of 92 in New York. His death marked the end of a career that connected radio, television, advertising, and film across more than 5 decades. He was remembered especially for the distinctive voice that narrated Universal Newsreels and became part of American homes through his work with Kraft. Lou Keutel. Lou Keutel was born on July 6, 1930, in New York City. At 54 years old, he played Amazing Larry, the eccentric hairdresser whose bizarre appearance and exaggerated behavior became one of the strangest and most memorable moments in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. With only a short appearance, Keutel created a scene that remained unforgettable among fans of the film. That ability to turn small roles into memorable moments became the foundation of Keutel's entire career. He spent decades working in television comedy, appearing in shows such as The Dick Van Dyke Show, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, and The Bob Newhart Show. His unusual expressions, timing, and distinctive voice allowed him to stand out even when he was not the center of the story. The same talent later brought him another iconic role when he appeared as Dr. Howard Needleman in the 1998 Seinfeld episode, The Fusilli Jerry. The character's ridiculous nickname, Assman, became one of the most recognizable jokes from the series. Keutel continued acting afterward, appearing in Wedding Crashers, 2005, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and other comedy projects that introduced his style to newer audiences. Lou Keutel died on November 21, 2021, at the age of 91 from natural causes. His passing closed a career that lasted more than 60 years, during which he appeared in countless television episodes and films. Though he was usually placed in supporting roles, his performances as Amazing Larry and Dr. Needleman proved that even a few minutes on screen could create a lasting memory. Jason Hervey. Jason Hervey was born on April 6, 1972, in Hollywood, California. At 13 years old, he played Kevin Morton, one of the young characters appearing around Pee Wee Herman during his unusual cross-country adventure in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. The role came at the beginning of Hervey's rise as one of the recognizable child actors of the 1980s. That early success quickly grew when Hervey became Wayne Arnold, the difficult and often aggressive older brother of Kevin Arnold in The Wonder Years, 1988 to 1993. The series became a cultural phenomenon, earning numerous Emmy Awards, and Hervey's portrayal of Wayne turned him into one of television's most remembered teenage performers. He also appeared in films such as Back to the Future, 1985, and The Monster Squad, 1987, building a promising career while still very young. However, the fame from The Wonder Years became difficult to overcome once he reached adulthood. Like many former child stars, Hervey struggled to find roles that matched the impact of his breakthrough performance and gradually moved away from acting. His transition was not without controversy. In 2015, he faced legal trouble after a DWI arrest involving an improperly transferred firearm, creating negative headlines during his later career. His personal life also experienced difficulties, including marital problems with Shannon Hervey after their 1998 marriage, although the couple later remained together. In 2026, Jason Hervey is 54 years old and works primarily behind the camera as a television producer and entertainment executive. After leaving regular acting, he became involved in producing wrestling-related programs, including projects connected to WCW, as well as reality television. While audiences still recognize him as Wayne Arnold from The Wonder Years, Hervey has spent decades building a second career away from acting. Carmen Philby. Carmen Philby, born on March 22, 1923 in Providence, Rhode Island, was 62 years old when he played Hobo Jack, the elderly homeless man singing on the train in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. His worn-out look and quiet performance made the character feel like a real person living on the edge of society. Philby's unusual appearance shaped almost every part of his acting career. His thin frame and weathered face led casting directors to frequently choose him for roles as homeless men, alcoholics, elderly outsiders, and strange neighbors. Despite being limited to smaller parts, he became a familiar face through films such as Tim Burton's Beetlejuice, 1988, and Ed Wood, 1994, another collaboration with Burton. The later years of his career brought appearances in several popular comedies, including Adam Sandler's The Wedding Singer, 1998, and Meet the Fockers, 2004. However, most of his work remained brief guest appearances, and he never reached the financial security or leading status enjoyed by many actors appearing in similar productions. As his health declined, Philby faced a difficult final period while continuing to battle cancer. Carmen Philby died on May 22, 2003, at the age of 80 from cancer. He was buried at St. Anne's Cemetery in Cranston, Rhode Island. Although he was never a major Hollywood star, Philby became remembered as one of those distinctive supporting performers whose unusual appearance and short but memorable scenes helped shape the atmosphere of many beloved films. Judd Omen. Judd Omen was born on February 4, 1940. At 45 years old, he played Mickey, the escaped convict who gives Pee Wee Herman a ride while traveling across the country in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. With his rough appearance and threatening attitude, Omen made Mickey feel like a dangerous stranger who could change the direction of Pee Wee's journey at any moment. That intimidating image became the foundation of much of Omen's acting career. Hollywood frequently cast him as criminals, villains, and tough fighters because of his sharp features and imposing screen presence. He appeared as Jameis in David Lynch's science fiction epic Dune, 1984, and also appeared in the action film Red Dawn, 1984, and the horror sequel Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf, 1985. Despite these opportunities, Omen found it difficult to move beyond the type of roles that first made him recognizable. As Hollywood changed during the 1990s, the demand for the kind of intimidating supporting villains he often portrayed declined, and his appearances on screen became increasingly rare. The shift in the industry gradually pushed him away from major film productions, leaving his earlier performances as the most visible part of his career. Now, at 86 years old, Judd Omen has largely remained away from the entertainment spotlight. His roles in cult films, such as Dune and Pee-wee's Big Adventure, continue to be remembered by fans of science fiction, fantasy, and 1980s cinema. Damon Martin. Damon Martin, born in 1968, was 17 years old when he played Chip, Francis Buxton's friend who appears alongside the wealthy bully during Pee Wee Herman's adventure in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. The role placed him among the young performers connected to one of the most recognizable comedy films of the 1980s. After his early acting experiences, Martin quickly realized that Hollywood's child and teenage acting world offered little stability. Unlike many young performers who continued chasing screen roles, he chose to step away from front of the camera and redirect his career toward music and production. This decision allowed him to develop skills behind the scenes rather than remain dependent on the unpredictable opportunities available to teenage actors. That change eventually led him into the technical side of entertainment. In 2004, Martin founded Departure Studios, focusing on audio post-production, and in 2007 he co-founded Cold Fusion Media Group, a company involved in production services and support for independent films. Building these businesses required him to compete in a demanding industry where technology, financing, and changing production methods created constant pressure. As of 2026, Damon Martin is 58 years old and continues to work in the entertainment industry behind the scenes, focusing on audio production and media development rather than acting. While audiences may remember him as Chip from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, his later career was defined by creating opportunities beyond the spotlight and helping shape projects from behind the camera. So, after 4 decades, the cast of Pee-wee's Big Adventure has changed in ways no one could have imagined. Some continued entertaining generations, while others sadly passed away, leaving unforgettable memories behind. Which cast member's transformation surprised you the most? Share your answer in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Cast Then and Now stories.